Hey, what if you could stop being the landlord and start being the bank? Or maybe never be the landlord at all? Think about it. Instead of fixing leaky faucets, chasing tenants, you're earning steady, predictable cash flow every single month, backed by real estate while someone else handles the details. Here's how it works: an end buyer purchases some acreage of land outside of wherever you live in the country. They put down real money and start improving the land. Maybe they drill a well, maybe they add a driveway, or maybe they build their dream home. You hold the first lien note, meaning you own the paper and collect the payments. A third party servicer manages everything else from escrowing the taxes and insurance and sending you the ACH deposit every month, sending you the check, basically. So that's what it means to be the bank. Something like this as an example: $100,000 note at 10% pays about $1,075 a month. And let's say that for 15 years. And you can start small with partial notes around $20,000, 20K, and then scale into bigger notes, $40,000 up to 400K or more. And as you grow your portfolio and your confidence, you can do this better and better. So today we're diving into this exact playbook. My guests, Rick and Crystal Rumer, the husband and wife team behind Texas Secured Notes. They left their corporate careers to go full time into real estate, not as flippers or landlords, but as lenders. And since then, they've originated over 450 notes, keeping their default rate below 5%. And they built a business that helps investors earn hands off, collateral backed income while helping families achieve homeownership. In this episode, you'll hear how they discovered the power of notes and how you can apply it too. We'll talk about how being the bank actually works, from owner financed land deals to monthly passive income through that third party servicing I just talked about. We'll break down how investors can start to scale up as well, whether it's at 20K we talked about for a partial note or way bigger full notes as an example, and what that looks like when you need to evaluate a deal. So, just like we talked about in this channel, if you're a high earning tech professional looking for more income streams so that you can have your capital work harder than you, this is something you're going to want to check out. So, go ahead, as usual, take notes, enjoy this one. And if you do, I would really appreciate you subscribe to the channel and leave a quick review wherever it is you listen to, Apple or Spotify. Share it with someone else who needs to hear something like this. Of course, connect with Rick and Crystal directly on texassecurednotes.com, where you can find them on LinkedIn as well. They love to have real conversations, and they're super excited to talk about this stuff. For more information, go to aritacapital.com. You can sign up for the newsletter there as well. Please enjoy. Welcome to the Path to Passive podcast, where we talk about building wealth and empowering lifestyle through commercial real estate investing for tech professionals. I always wish that other tech professionals reaching financial freedom had documented their journey along the way, so I'm doing it for the rest of us. Join us as we explore stories, many failures, and lessons learned along the way. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. Rick and Crystal Rumer, thank you so much for being on the show today. I saw you guys on LinkedIn, what you were doing, and I saw that you guys were doing notes. And this is a particularly important topic, for my audience, for my colleagues, my peers, investors, because this show is Path to Passive real estate investing for tech professionals. And as tech professionals, lawyers, doctor engineers, we're strapped for time, right? So it's all about taking the income, taking the unique ability that we have in whatever we're doing so that we can take that and continue to build, whether it's income or net worth, whatever it is, into our investments. So I'm pleased to have you on the show. I'd love to hand it over to you guys. Feel free, whoever would like to go first, together, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then we'll dive into how you got here and how you discovered note investing.
All right, let's do it. Well, thank you for having us on. We're super excited to be here. Certainly wanted to mention that. Now, really quick, I'm Rick. This is Crystal. If you haven't figured it out yet, we married, and we do some real estate full time together. And really quick, I used to work for J.P. Morgan Chase. Had some rental properties at the time. This is 2008, 2009 during the housing crunch. And I kind of got tired of working for the man while they were getting bailed out. And I said, hey, I came home one day and I said, hey, we can do this real estate stuff full time. So 2010, we made the leap and I started buying those bank foreclosures right off of the bank list and doing fix and flips. So we got into A lot of that, pretty much anything you could do in real estate, we were willing to try. But I think
Mhm.
where we landed in our passion is the owner finance world. So we're going to talk a little bit about owner financing and note creation and note ownership here today.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, he literally came home and said, "I think we're gonna do real estate full time," and I definitely puckered up and was going, "I don't know if we're ready for that," but it just fell into place. And during the housing crisis, we were able to get a lot of these foreclosures, short sales, and at the time, we were told we couldn't have kids. We ended up getting pregnant during that whole time, crazy. And so we were just in a, you either were going to sink or swim. And we
Mm.
knew that since we had a baby, that our first child, like, we got to make this work. And we don't
Mhm.
know how this is going to come together, but we got to make it work.
Yeah.
And so we were doing a lot of the wholesaling, fix and flips. And how we got into nodes is we actually had a fix and flip. We put too much money in. And then we had a rental that went south. The renter just completely destroyed the house, pipes busted. It was huge mess. And so we ended up turning those properties into owner financing them, offering terms, and saw that the borrowers took ownership of the home. And we're going, yeah, being the bank was amazing.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how it trickled in, doing notes in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wanna expand on those parts definitely because I think the journey that you guys went through is really important. I've talked to many people that want to do something more active, right? The classic thing people throw around is they saw something on HGTV and they think it's a great idea, etc. Right? I see the head nods, and so definitely. Um, but before we get into that, I want to say, congratulations on being successful where you are here and diving into that both of you together and, multiple projects at one time with the family and doing real estate. So, uh, Rick, what did you do at JP Morgan that gave you some of that insights too, just to kind of color more in the background?
Yeah, I was a financial advisor. Knew the numbers, knew investing, understood compound interest, and I think that's probably the largest thing that parlays into our career today is understanding compound interest, understanding leverage. Whether you're paying interest or earning interest,
Mhm.
there's a lot there to understand, and once you do, it's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And was that like public markets?
Yep.
Okay. And then how about you, Crystal? I'm just trying to, you know, I want to make sure I get a full picture for the listeners because I talk to many couples as well that are, trying to think about how they can build strategies together. And it's so cool to have the both of you here to be giving both perspectives. So, how about for you as well, Crystal?
Yeah, so I was in the sales when we first met. I was actually a finance manager for a car dealership and used car sales for BMW dealership. And but I went into banking after him and I met, got married. Again, just the numbers, it made sense. And so when we had some rentals, we saw, okay, we can make this work. And but we really didn't have a lot of the time available. But
Hmm.
again, like he said, we saw the compound interest, we understood what that did. And
Hmm.
so we were looking long term, going, okay, if we just keep going down this path, even if we were not on the active side and we just invested and was getting that 10, 12% return, whatever it may have been, then we just understood our retirement and later down the road what that would look like. But my role was definitely more on the sales side in the beginning. And he's the numbers guy, details guy, engineered mine. I mean, he went to college at A&M for engineering type thing. So he knew that more than I did. And then literally in the very beginning, we would get a home under contract. We would buy a home, and then I would take, like I said, we had our son. I would take my son around with me. I was not an agent, but we would put bandit signs out in the front yards. And I mean, we did it old school. And I would take my son with me and start like selling the home to to a borrower, someone that we would own or finance or someone we would sell the home to. And we just kind of bootstrapped it in a way, but we understood the numbers early on, I guess, is to answer your question.
Super cool. Did you guys so Rick, you came home, said getting into real estate, we're doing this. Did you
Right.
guys do any real estate before that, or was that kind of like the start of the journey?
Um, and I had a rental property in college. I bought a home, rented out the other two rooms, so co-living space. That's a
There you
big
go.
deal these days. Well, I was a pioneer. uh, anyways, I rented out the other rooms for enough to pay my mortgage and all overhead, and I still cash flowed $150 a month or something.
Nice.
In the late '90s, that's kind of cool to be,
Hmm.
a 19-year-old making money and somebody paying everything for you. Um, Flash forward, another 10 years down the road after graduation, and when I'm working there, we had
It's rentals.
three more rentals going into the housing collapse, I guess you would say.
So not a lot. We didn't have a lot of properties yet, and not a lot of experience. I mean, we learned a lot from those three, but not
It
enough to
was
go full
horrendous.
time.
It was tough.
Yeah.
Lots of mistakes.
Nah, that's how it goes. That's learning, right? Good, cool. You had your Rick B and B going to start off with for your sharing. What was I think that thinking here, the insight I really want to like highlight, if you could talk about, is going from operator right to doing more active stuff, and maybe you still are, but at least that insight of like you were talking about, Crystal, of like becoming the bank, right? About notes. So can you talk a little bit about how that came to be? Were you just maybe more fed up with doing some of the active stuff and wanting to do more of the note business, or what was that shift?
No, these are great questions. This is what I really like to geek out and talk about, and the iteration or what caused it. We stumbled into it was once again a rental that became a disaster, and almost at the exact same time, a fix and flip that we did. That we put too much into. We couldn't sell it. We couldn't sell it. We couldn't sell it. We had a hard money loan on it.
Hmm.
We redid the whole entire
It was a
home.
wonderful, wonderful
Beautiful
home,
home.
um, but we couldn't get rid of it. And so I found a private borrower, a private lender that bought out my hard money loan, and I found a borrower that would buy that home on terms, and I made the deal, and I gave the gentleman who bought out my hard money loan the note.
And he had a self-directed IRA at the time, so he used his self-directed IRA to cash us out, buy that home, and at the same time, we found him a borrower to put into that home instead of renting it. You're dealing with the tenants, toilets, getting a phone call
Hmm.
in the middle of the night, a tree falls on the roof, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Again, your AC goes out in the middle of Texas in August. Well, you got to take care of that. And so we knew that we didn't want to do that, and neither did that lender as well on that property that bought it from us. And so we found a borrower that had a significant amount of cash down, and then we would carry them on terms and ended up giving them a beautiful home for their family.
So you had a house and you had private money lending behind it. Then you found another lender because the private money lender wants his or her money back, their money back. So you
Right.
gotta like, I gotta get out. I gotta find a way to swap this for some additional financing in place to hold on to the house. But then you
Yep.
also found, we'll call it, label like a tenant, someone else who or a buyer on the buyer side who was interested, and
That's
they
right.
had the right amount of down payment, the right amount of terms, and that's when a lot of the ahas came here to like, oh, we could do this in kind of a model,
Yes.
moving things around.
Effectively, I could sell it for more than the market rate.
Hmm.
I could take that down payment and put it in my pocket in this particular deal, put a little money in my pocket so that this deal wasn't a complete waste.
Mm-hmm.
And yet um, the permanent lender that came in bought out my hard money loan and got a note for a higher value than what he paid for it. So he bought it.
Mm-hmm.
He bought a note at a discount, and that's really the world we run in now. And if I can kind of segue into that,
Totally.
notes. I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. Notes are not sexy. They are boring. They're not exciting to look at, but regardless, they're extremely powerful. This is what banks, and this is what you mentioned earlier. This is what banks have been doing for hundreds of years. And I
Mm-hmm.
say to people all the time, it's not by chance that every bank downtown has a tall tower and marble. Like, they know what they're doing. They're doing a good job, and what they're doing is lending in first lien position. They're mitigating their risk, but they always hold the trump card of that first lien position. So if anything goes wrong, somebody doesn't pay off. Doesn't matter if it's a 360-month term and it's month 359.
Mm-hmm.
If they foreclose on that home, they can take back that property. They hold that trump card. And so what we do now is originate. Now we intentionally do this, not by chance or
Mm-hmm.
not by accident, but we go buy properties at a discount. We sell them to a borrower and create a note. And just like Bank of America originates a note 1 month, they originate a mortgage, and 6 months later they sell it to somebody else. We're doing the same thing. We're originating a mortgage, we're turning around and selling it to another investor, and that next investor is going to make that interest on their money. I.e., now let me get a little bit more specific.
Go for it.
Where we got into and where our main, we have kind of two niches, but one of them is land. 2016, we got into land exclusively. We're buying 100 or 200, maybe even 400 acres of property, 20, 30 minutes outside of town. So on the expansion bubble of the big towns in Texas, Dallas,
In
Fort Worth,
Texas.
San Antonio, Austin, Houston,
Mm-hmm.
we're buying, there's so much growth happening there. We're buying right on the edge of that, subdividing that land into 5 and 10 acre ranchettes, oversized lots. So we buy 100 acres, subdivide it, and sell it on terms, not to a developer, but to the end user, somebody who wants a 5 acre piece of heaven that no one can tell them what they can or cannot do. And they're going to move on to that little spot, and they're going to either build with sticks and bricks, they're going to bring in a prefab home, they're going to have their dream out there,
Mm-hmm.
and we will sell to them on terms, and usually at 10% for 15 years. We'll have them put down 10, 15% or whatever. It's usually negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do what's called an RMLO, which is a residential mortgage loan originator. We'll close at a title company. We'll
Well, and just to go back
hold on, that RMLO
is to vet make sure that borrower has the ability to pay. And
Yep.
so it's the third party that's making sure, okay, we've done our due diligence, and sometimes it's 50 to 250 pages of information that we get on that RMLO from that borrower.
They want to buy, I want to sell, but sometimes I'm emotionally involved, right? So we take a third party to help us make sure that they're going to be able to pay this.
Due diligence, definitely.
We close at a title company, have all the regular documents that you would have: promissory note, deed of trust. We purchase a lender's title policy that is attached to that note. Same thing Bank of America would do.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a third party servicing company. So there's a third party that accepts this payment every month. The borrower does not send a payment to me. They send it to the third party. They escrow for taxes and insurance, and they send the principal and interest to me. So I just get an ACH every month. So when I take that and I sell that to another investor, they get a 10% return on their money.
It's on the
Let's
note.
call it a $100,000 note.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to receive $1,075 a month for the next 15 years at 10%, that $1,075 a month ends up being $12,900 a year, which is a little bit more than 10%.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you're getting a return of principal mixed in with that. You've all seen an amortized note where the amount of principal and interest changes every month. So we have a lot of investors that will hold that note, or they'll buy that note and they'll hold it for the first 5 years, and they'll make, I don't know, $80,000 in principal and interest coming back to them. Most of it's interest. So that note has gone from $100,000 note down to, and I'm rounding here, making up a number, $80,000. And so they can turn around and sell that note for $80,000, where they just made a significantly amount more based on
Yeah.
amortization. If that makes sense.
So, and I commend you for doing math on stage. That's,
Yeah, some of it was
so,
pulled out of nowhere, but
uh, but just the recap is now you're actually going and buying, like, the business around this is going to find properties. You were giving that example for land, right? And, there's subdividing that happens too, but keeping it big picture for the recap is that it's buying the land, actually working with people that are, like you said, end user, but people that are looking, that want their ranch dream, right? They want that piece of land for their own ranchette. Okay.
Yeah, ranchettes. Yep.
And you're providing them the financing as well. So not only are you finding it and subdividing it, but you're providing the financing as well. And then you're taking that note that you've created, and then you're selling that note. Is that right?
right.
Correct.
So
Okay.
go back to that example. I've bought land. Let's say it's $1 million worth,
Mm-hmm.
and I've sold this property, and I took subdivided, and I took $20,000 down. Well, how much money have I made? Well, $20,000. I haven't made very much. So the reality is we'll buy that land for $1 million, and we'll sell them cumulatively for $2 million.
Sure.
So that's where the money is made in the acquisition and the subdivision. But I will be able to take that note, and that's where I recapitalize. That's where I'm actually going to cash out and make something. And that's why Bank of America would take and sell that to another lender, is as I take that note and sell it to another investor, they're going to put down $100,000, or if that's what the note is, and
Mm-hmm.
now I've got some money back in my pocket. And after we do this enough times, then I can pay off the original piece of land that I bought and go find more land and go do it all over again.
Got it. For the note that is being sold, right, after the initial acquisition, subdividing, and then selling, the note creation, right, the mortgage creation, really.
Yes.
How much do you end up selling that note for? Is it like, full amount, or is it like 90%, or is there some discount on that note when it's sold to an investor?
It's going to vary. A lot of times we sell it at that par value, whatever that unpaid balance is going to be. So that's typically where we start. Every now and then, because we're usually originating those at 10 and 11%, we can sometimes get onto a little bit higher yield of 12%. It's going to be different for each note and for each property too.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't know, have over 40 of them, probably 45 different notes right now. And so they range. And so sometimes we can give, to answer your question, a little bit of a discount. Others is going to be at par. It's just going to depend on that note.
It's going to depend on credit score. It's going to depend on the amount that they put down. It's going to depend on how long that note has existed, i.e., is it 3 months old or is it 3 years old?
Yeah, is it a seasoned note?
Have they built on that property? Because now you're holding a note worth $100,000, but the property is worth $400,000 because they built a home on it. There's very little risk in that, right? Because if you have to take that property back, you're going to end up doing very, very good on that. So they're going to continue to pay. So there's a scale there. Ultimately, we like to sell at par, and a lot of them do move at par, but some of them we have to discount, or that do
10% or so. Yeah, 90.
oh,
90.
they come down to 90 cents on the dollar is generally where we sell, from 90 cents on the dollar on up.
Yeah.
And you're saying that that's again, it could be the selling to note would be at different price ranges based on things you talked about, but this is the 90 cents on the dollar potentially to the end investor who wants to buy the note.
That's
Correct.
correct.
Okay.
So $100,000 note, 10%, 15 years is, if we sell it at par, you're going to make 10%. You're going to make the stated value on the note if it's
Yes.
sold at par. If I discount that note just because of the math, and I've done this enough, if I sell that one at 90 cents on the dollar, it's going to end up being 11.97% interest. It's going to be really close to 12% at 90 cents on the dollar.
Got it. Okay. Super cool. And I love what you said there too about really knowing who um the the borrowers are, because if they are building on the property, they're doing any land improvements or things like that, then what your original basis price, the lending price, or lending amount was, right, for $100,000 as an example. They could have done those land improvements that make it two, three, four, $500,000 on there now. And so, I mean, talk about you know asymmetric returns, right? And so,
It's the beauty of doing land. That we trust me, we speak to a lot of people that are like, I don't really understand land. I'm kind of scared. Isn't that different? Aren't there different rules? Um, but the beauty of doing this with land is it's raw, and inherently
Mm-hmm.
somebody's going to have to improve that land.
mhm,
You're never going to ruin it.
yeah,
You don't even need insurance on it if there's no structures. So a tornado comes through, it's still land.
it's
You
still
haven't
land.
ruined it. So that's a beautiful thing. But if you sell this to somebody, and they're intending to move on to this property, they're going to have to, where we're doing this at, they're going to be drilling a well, installing a septic, and they're making improvements immediately. That increases my security. My collateral value begins to go up, and I start to feel really good about that. Obviously, once again, if they build a home,
Yeah.
it just goes from there. Another thing about land and the way we're doing this, think of it once again, 100 acres subdivided, and we have all of these different tracts, and I sell them all. I create my own comps.
Hmm.
This is the
Sure.
other thing. What's the value? What's the land really worth? I don't understand it. I'll tell you exactly what it's worth. I sold this one for 185, this one for 190, this one for 185, this one for 179. Here's
Hmm.
where they're all at. So worst case scenario. Once again, let's think about worst case scenario. You're an investor, I'm an investor. We got to think about what can go wrong. Is 18 months later, something, they get in an accident, or somebody goes through a divorce, whatever, they're unable to pay. If we have to foreclose on this property, what's my collateral? What am I going after? And if I have to take that property back, we've
Principal.
created a concrete, uh, you know,
Floor.
floor of
Yeah.
Yep.
what that value is because of the comparables. Now it may go up from there, but I'm pretty sure I can turn around and sell that for exactly what it sold the first time, if not more.
If not more. Yeah, that's a great point. And you got ahead of the question there. I'm glad you did,
Yeah.
because the question really comes from, as I talk about different asset classes to colleagues, investors. I'll be talking about apartment complexes or RVs or multiple home parks, whatever it is, or the latest, whatever the asset is, right? I was going to say, not to drop Bitcoin or whatever it is. Like, where does the money come from? How do you know you're getting a return on it? Which is the point, right? And so that's kind of the question is like, okay, so what makes it a good deal for your investor that you're selling the notes to think, okay, why would they want to even hold this note if it's just a piece of land, as an example? Because the money has to come from somewhere. No land on there, nothing built on land, no oil, no something else that's contained on there. There's no money to feed that asset. It's just land, right? So it sounds like it's built into your guys' buy box that, when you're looking at whoever wants to buy the piece of land and you're providing financing for them, then you're thinking like you're probably asking, well, what are you going to do with this land? Like, why do you want it? And of course, if it has any oil or minerals or stuff, about that ahead of time as well, and you can price appropriately. But is that about right? Do you make that part of that initial criteria? Like, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the number one question that our agents only sell those properties, land acquisition. So that's the first thing that they're going to ask: what are you going to do with it? For the most part, more like 95% of the time, that piece of property is going to be their residency at some point. They're wanting to build their dream home. They're wanting to turn that into their main property. They're in the city. They want to get out of the city. And
Hmm.
now they have an opportunity to have animals, bees, horses, or just,
If I can jump in real quick, sometimes we have a 10-acre parcel of land or a 12-acre parcel of land, and they'll put multiple generations on there. It'll
yes,
be um,
grandparents, mom and
grandparents,
dad.
and they'll set up. It's you still
Wow.
have
Yep.
three homes on there, but
Yeah.
it's spread out over 10 acres. It's not like you're clogged together like everybody in the city.
Yeah. And so most people there, it's going to be their primary residency. We have a property up in Arkansas that it's about 360 acres subdivision,
Hmm.
and they're smaller lots. And so the guy ended up buying three of them. He paid cash for one and then owner financed the other two. He's building out his personal home. We've already seen the renderings for it. It's a 3,700 square foot home, beautiful home. But he also has his own business, so he's going to have his business building and everything on there as well as his personal residency. So, but for the most part, yeah, we're asking that question, and most people are there to move and build on that property or bring a
Every once in a while,
manufactured home on
yeah,
there.
every once in a while, a little bit of commercial. 5% somebody wants to put their business on there.
Got it. And that becomes the operational aspect of your business as well. It's understanding who what is the appropriate term, that the tenants are on the land, who the occupiers, who the owners are, and what they're doing with it over time.
Yeah, we call them the borrowers or the buyer
Borrowers.
of the property.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, we don't have any requirements on that, by the way. You don't have to start building by this certain time. You don't. There's no prepayment penalty. People are going to do what they're going to do with it. Some people
Yeah.
will begin building in 6 months. We've seen it. This is one that she's referencing. But there's others that
They take
it'll
2
sit there.
years.
It'll sit there for 2 or 3 years before they do anything with it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this from the investor's perspective, right? People are listening, like they got a clear idea now. Cool how you got here, as well as the skills involved. Makes perfect sense. And it's, cool to hear about the evolution there's a lot of lessons. Like we talked about this for 10, 15 minutes, but this is years of lessons, right? So,
Yeah.
um, talk, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Talk
Yeah.
about this from the person who's listening. It's like, okay, cool. So, Rick and Crystal, they have these notes, and I can buy them, but how does this actually work? How do I go and buy these notes? Uh, do they have to drop the full amount? Can they do partial notes? What does that look like? So tell me a little bit about how the process of working with investors and how they end up buying notes.
Oh,
Great,
it's,
great question.
yeah, I think this is our favorite part is, and like you said, we've gone through a lot of trial and error and over the years learned a lot just by experience. I don't recommend that for everyone. We actually we do this on single family homes too, and just closed on one the other day and three more next week. And so, although we do single family and have done them for a long time, there's always one that might have a little weird thing that happens. So, you're always learning and growing and pivoting too. I just wanted to throw that in. But for the investor, for us, it's relationally. So when an investor is interested in buying a note from us, since we are the originator for
Hmm.
the land and on the single family, they're going to come to us and we're just going to have a conversation like this going, what are you looking for? What's your expectation? A lot of times people don't know much about notes, but they know about its passive monthly cash flow, and that's what they like. But a lot of people know about a rental, a fix and flip,
Hmm.
maybe even multifamily, but notes, they don't understand being the bank. And so we just like to share and educate more on being the bank, what that looks like, and what that process is, and then walk through them on what are they looking for, what's the amount that they're looking to invest. All of our properties are going to be 10 to 12% return. You're in first lien position and you're going to get monthly cash flow. So really that's the basics of what we do. But what are you looking for? What's your time frame too, your exit strategy on this? And so we start walking through with them on that process, and then we go into the details of, we'll show them the exact subdivision of that land and how we cut it up, how we put some minor infrastructure on that. And then we talk about the number of notes in that area, the pricing of those notes in that area. We talk about the different borrowers that we currently have. And we'll send them what's called a tape, which, if a lot of people in the note business know, but we'll send you a list of a few notes that kind of fit your criteria, because we want to customize it to what is your criteria. Doesn't necessarily mean what do we want for you, what do you want? And so we'll customize that to what your criteria is, and then we go through that process from there. I don't know if you want to
Yeah. Well, just to
continue.
finish that sentence, I mean, we'll send 5 or 8 notes. You take a look at them. You can very easily compare credit scores and interest rates and property size and number of payments and what their monthly payment is. We can compare all those really quickly. And you say, hey, Rick and Crystal, I like number 3 and number 4. Cool. Let's go pull the documents for it. Now let's look at closing documents. This is where due diligence gets a little bit more intense, if you will, and we can walk you through it. But here's all the closing documents, everything recorded at the county, everything that the lawyers created, all the, once again, promissory note, etc.
Yep.
We'll walk you through the RMLO. She mentioned sometimes it's 100 pages, sometimes it's 250 pages. There's plenty there if you want to look up anything about that borrower and where they used to work and how much they have in the bank, or et cetera, et cetera. It's all
Hmm.
there. And we'll begin walking you through these items. Now you can compare these 2 notes where, oh, I like this one or I like this one. When you do want to step forward with that, you say, hey, I like that one. Let's go with number 3. It looks good. We come up with a price on that. It's relatively simple. We close outside of a title company. Generally takes about a week or so. We'll draw up documents. You can purchase in a trust, self-directed IRA. You can buy cash. Uh,
Any other way you want to, pretty
any
much.
way you want to.
Mhm.
However you want to title
Yeah.
this note.
Yep.
We'll have the documents drawn up. Attorney will put together the documents. 2 days later, 3 days later, we get them back to you. Hey, did we spell your name right? Does this
Yep.
all look good? Everything looks good. Then we'll send you some via DocuSign. You sign them. You wire in the funds. We send you the originals. We take the uh, third-party servicing information, and
Hmm.
we make you the note owner. I guess
Yeah.
the one
Receiver.
the receiver. Anyways,
Yeah.
the payee. The payee on that note. Just to we don't charge anything for that process. And once again, we like to get on Zoom and kind of walk through that. We don't charge anything for the closing. It's kind of baked in on the front end. We understand what our costs
Hmm.
are, and we do a couple of extra steps to make sure that paper looks very presentable. There is one $100 fee, and it's not by us. It's the third party servicer. To switch the name from us to add you as a new client, they charge a one-time $100 fee. They don't charge it up front. They just take it out of the next payment. But by the way, that third-party borrower, third-party servicer is paid by the borrower on a monthly basis. They pay the $25 a month for that service for them to escrow for taxes and insurance. We get the benefit of them handling all the nitty-gritty interest, principal, late payment, early payment, all of that stuff gets taken care of for us.
Yeah.
So it takes about a week, and we can walk you through that.
I don't know if that helps answer. I know that's kind of more detailed on things, but that's what relationally, it just comes down to building relationship, building some trust, and really what is that lender looking for? What is that investor wanting, and what are they wanting to get out of? And like you said, you may have some investors that want to be on the active side, some passive. We have both. We have some that they love the notes for diversification. They're also active in other areas, but on notes, they love it because it's just a base hit every time. Like Rick said before, it's not going to be a home run, but it is a base hit at that 10-12% monthly cash flow each month. And we're there as a company, as a couple, to walk you through. And also, if worst case scenario happens, we're there to be there with you as well. Over 450 notes we've done. Our default rate is less than 5%. So it has happened. It does happen. Does it happen often? No. Most of these borrowers, they want to pay their mortgage. Absolutely.
Totally. They got skin in the game. And Rick, I
Yeah.
want you to know, as you're giving the answer, all of our listeners are building flow charts in their mind. So we got it covered.
Okay, we'll just go on the list.
I appreciate it. And so thank you for tacking on the end there too, Crystal. The really what I'm trying to I'm hearing you say it's flexible, right? Based on what the investor wants. But I also want to, if there's maybe a way that you can help to maybe give a little bit more of a concrete answer. Because what I'm trying to answer for someone listening is, how do I know this is for me? Right? The question is okay, great. I could, this passive income monthly sounds good. I got the process now a bit. I'm hearing you say, Crystal, base hits means consistent, reliable cash flow, right?
Mhm.
Base hits. It's not going to be a home run, as in it's not going to be hundreds or thousands of percent return, but it's going to be right. But it's
Yep.
going to be the base hit of consistent cash flow. But is this like, what should someone? I don't know how you can answer this, but put the question out. What should someone expect to spend if they want to go get started with no investing?
For us, it's a minimum of 20,000. So we do minimum of 20. We have that's at a partial note.
Mm-hmm.
So we will do a partial note of a minimum of 20. Our full notes start around 40,000 and
Okay.
go up to over 400,000. Now we will sell packages of them.
Mm-hmm.
We sell to different trusts, family offices, some small banks of more than just one. We do sell them onesie twosies at
Mm-hmm.
20,000, but then we'll also sell multiple at a time as well. And so your minimum can be at that 20,000, or we have, like I said, individual notes. I would say our average per note is around 150-ish thousand right now, in that range. But we have one over 400,000 at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
So, it does that help answer
Absolutely.
the question?
Absolutely. I just, I get this answer or question all the time is like, okay, like, what do I need to get started? Right. And so all of it can subject to change. Totally got it. There's fine print on the, there's more to be offered. It can be customized, but just want to like help answer that.
Well, and
Yeah,
I was going to
and
say,
I was going to
especially the
say,
land.
what you nailed it though on who is this for? Look, if you're the guy who wants to wake up and put in 1,000 offers on homes and go find that deal of a century, and you want to be super active, this is not it. This is not that opportunity. This is, if you have some kind of real estate savvy, you've probably had a rental before, you've done something in real estate. At least most of our buyers generally have done something. But if you want to participate in real estate, but you want security of first lien position, you're willing to take in real estate terms, a slightly lower return in order to have a very stable monthly income, like you mentioned. And you're okay playing small ball with this part of your portfolio. That's what this is. That's who this is for. Because you're right. You're not going to get a 20% plus return out of this unless somebody builds a home and you have to take it back and, you know,
Yeah.
you end up having to resell it. But that's a very small, chance that that's going to happen.
Those are
That's not
good
what,
to know, but advanced scenarios.
yeah.
And what's nice as rates go down, you're holding the paper of this note that's written at 10, 11, 12%.
That's a great point.
And that stays consistent for our single family or for 5 years, written at 5. Land is going to be typically 15-ish years. Sometimes it's less, sometimes a little bit more. But that is a steady, like you said, when we were talking about the base hit, steadiness, consistency, month after month after month, year after year, and you know what you're going to get with that.
If I can, speak really quick to, we've alluded to it, but we haven't spent much time. We've talked about land quite a bit. But there are some investors that just don't want to do anything with land, and I totally get that. And she started doing these single family homes. It's where our roots were, and I've kind of told her, oh, we're never going back to that. But starting back in November, December, she started getting back into some of these single family homes, and we've had great success doing that. In this scenario or this strategy, we go find single family homes in the $50,000 range in the Midwest. We'll turn around and buy that home, and we will owner finance that to somebody who has been renting, and they might be paying $1,200 in rent in the same neighborhood. And we can take that same family and give them an opportunity to own in the same community that they've grown up in, but where they previously haven't been able to purchase. And what we're doing there, the business model there, is for investors that want to participate on the acquisition side. We are your borrowers. We will borrow the funds to purchase that home, i.e., 45, 50, $60,000. We will be your borrower. You will be our lender. We'll buy that home. We'll pay you 12% interest only. This is not an amortized note, but it's an interest only note for 5 years. Immediately, and by the time we close, this generally applies. We found a family that's ready to purchase that home. We will sell them an LTO, or a lease to own, or what some people might refer to as a contract for deed.
Yep.
We'll sell them there, and they will begin making their payments. We'll owner finance it to them for roughly $85, $90, $100,000. So as that money comes in, we pay the lender back for that 5 years. And somewhere between year 3 and 5, we refinance it, put them under permanent financing, and we keep that borrower in place. We get you your principal back, and we go do it over and over again.
And the thing about these things is super cool is that helps, those families too. And that helps, it's kind of it's really an impact play, and it becomes ethical business as well. I know that's something I hear that, it's like people want to be part of making money, but they want to know that they're helping to make a difference too. Rick and Crystal, there's so much more we could talk about. I really appreciate that. And, just double clicking what you're talking about, both of you, that, you can do this with many different types of assets, but just notes in general is really understanding financing. And there's some really cool, not only math and analytics there too, but some cool tech that can be applied too. I'll leave it alone there. I just had to drop that in. Anyway, talk to me where we can, where people can find you guys to learn more about that, and we'll get you guys on your way.
Guys, we like cell phone calls, and you can find us on LinkedIn as well. Rick Rumer, Crystal Rumer. My phone number, 845-6764. Hers?
907-342-2214. And then our email, just Rick at texassecurednotes.com, and then Crystal at texassecurednotes.com. We've got a website as well, texassecurednotes.com, but just reach out to us, just have a conversation. We love working with new note buyers too, and just sharing some education on it.
Outstanding. Thank you both. Appreciate you.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Stephen.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Path to Passive. We love connecting with our listeners and those on the path to architecting their wealth and improving their lives. Feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see in future episodes. Get in touch with us through email or Instagram. See you next week for a new episode.